life stories where real pain meets real strength. Hit subscribe now to follow today's unbelievable journey. Imagine waking up in a hospital, weak, alone, and barely alive, only to find that your entire life has been stolen. No visitors, no family, no explanation. Your bank accounts? Empty. Your name? Used. Your trust? Shattered. That's exactly what happened to Emily Harper. She went in for pneumonia and woke up to betrayal so deep, it shook the very foundation of her family. Her sister stole everything. Her parents stayed silent. And what Emily did next, no one saw it coming. Stay with us because this isn't just a story of theft. It's a story of awakening, revenge, and redemption. And by the end, you'll be asking yourself, what would I do if the people I loved the most were the ones who destroyed me? Let's begin. The sharp, rhythmic beep of the heart monitor was the first sound Emily Harper heard when she opened her eyes. White ceiling, sterile smell, scratchy sheets, and a silence that felt unnatural. Definitely a hospital. But something was wrong. No flowers, no get-well-soon cards, no tearful parents or concerned friends hovering by her bedside. Just the steady hum of machines and the weight of isolation. Where was everyone? Her throat was raw when she whispered, "Hello?" A nurse appeared, bustling in with practiced urgency. "Oh, you're awake," she smiled, adjusting Emily's IV. "You gave us a scare. That pneumonia knocked you out for nearly a week." Emily blinked. "A week? Has my sister Sophie been here? Or my parents?" she rasped, her voice almost foreign to her own ears. The nurse's smile flickered. "I just started my shift, sweetheart. Haven't seen any visitors." A chill, far colder than the hospital air, crept down Emily's spine. She reached for her phone, wincing as the IV pulled against her skin. Dozens of missed calls. All from work. None from Sophie. None from Mom. None from Dad. That made no sense. She always showed up for Sophie. Flu, breakups, bad days. Emily was the one who brought soup, comforted with bad reality TV, and paid late bills without asking for repayment. So where was Sophie now? A knock on the door pulled her from the spiral. A man in a stiff gray suit stepped in, holding a clipboard like a weapon. "Miss Harper, I'm from the billing department. We need to discuss your payment situation." Emily frowned. "I have insurance." "You did, but it expired last month. And I'm afraid your account's, well," heart racing, she logged into her banking app. Her stomach dropped. Where there had once been over $50 in savings, there was now less than $100. Every account was drained. Every card maxed. Every backup gone. "This has to be a mistake," she whispered. "I wish it were," the man said politely. "We'll need to consider discharge options soon if payment can't be arranged." The room tilted. Then came a voice she hadn't heard in weeks. Firm. Cool. Commanding. "I'll take care of the billing." Emily turned. Claire Monroe, her workplace rival for 3 years, always polished, always poised, and never particularly friendly. "Claire?" Emily croaked. Claire dismissed the billing agent with a glare that could freeze hell. Then she turned to Emily, pulling up a chair. "I know we're not friends," she said, "but you've been out for a week. The office was worried. I did some digging." Emily stared at her, stunned. What's happening?" Claire pulled out her tablet, flipping through screenshots and statements. "Your accounts were drained systematically. Small transfers, ATM withdrawals, wire requests, and all while you were unconscious. I think I know who did it." Emily's heart stopped. Sophie. She tasted the name like ash. "No, she's my sister. She wouldn't." Claire raised an eyebrow. "The same Sophie who borrowed $5,000 for emergency dental work last year and never paid you back? The one who lost your college fund investing in her boutique? The one your parents always took the side of, no matter what?" Emily closed her eyes. Memories flooded in, of Sophie crying, manipulating, twisting reality with a smile, of Emily being labeled selfish for even thinking of saying no. "I gave her access to my accounts, for emergencies," she whispered. Claire's laugh was sharp. "Yeah, well, apparently buying a Mercedes was an emergency." Emily's eyes snapped open. "What?" "She bought it the day after you were admitted, paid $15,000 down, with your money. I had a friend at the dealership pull the paperwork. Emily's hands trembled. "She told Mom I was in the hospital?" she asked, voice cracking. Claire handed her a phone, a group text, from Margaret Harper, her own mother, to extended family. "Emily's in the hospital. Sophie is handling everything." The betrayal hit like a brick to the chest. Not just Sophie. Her parents let it happen. They enabled it. Why are you helping me?" Emily asked, tears threatening. Claire looked at her. 3 years ago, my sister stole everything I had, and I let her, because I believed family forgives. I wish someone had stood up for me then. Emily's heart pounded. Fight back. She'd never even considered it before. Not against Sophie, not against family, but she hadn't woken up to love and support. She'd woken up to theft, to lies, to abandonment, and something inside her had cracked. No, something had awakened. "I want to fight," Emily said, her voice steadier now. "I want her to pay for what she's done." Claire smiled. "Good," she said, "because I have resources, and I'm about to make Sophie wish you never woke up." What would you do if you woke up to find your family had stolen everything while you were unconscious in a hospital bed? Do you believe betrayal hurts more when it comes from blood? Why or why not? Stay tuned for part 2, The First Strike, where Emily begins her investigation and a dark secret from the past threatens to unravel everything. Life stories. The stories you feel in your bones. Hit that subscribe button because the next chapter is coming. Claire's brownstone in Brooklyn felt more like a war room than a home. Emily sat cross-legged on the plush guest bed, surrounded by a fortress of bank statements, credit card logs, and printed screenshots. Her fingers traced the dates and amounts, 3 separate withdrawals of $10,000, all made within 48 hours of her hospital admission, each from different branches. She was trying to avoid red flags, Claire said, peering over her glasses as she sipped from a mug that read, "Don't make me use my lawyer voice." Emily's hands trembled. She thought this through. "While I was unconscious, while I was hooked up to machines," Claire replied, calm but sharp. "She showed you exactly who she is when she thought you weren't looking. The mask slipped, and now we gather every piece of that shattered disguise." Just then, Jake Sullivan arrived. Tattooed arms, piercing eyes, quiet confidence. He looked nothing like a forensic accountant, but he was one of the best. He laid out printouts across the dining table, pointing to patterns with a red pen. "Your sister was careful," Jake said, "but not careful enough. She structured the withdrawals just under the $10,000 limit to avoid mandatory bank reporting. That's textbook fraud." Emily stared at the transactions, numb. "And it gets worse," Jake added. He opened a browser window, pulled up an online storefront. The breath left Emily's lungs, displayed like trophies, her handbags, her jewelry. Even a limited edition watch her father had gifted her for college graduation. And there, dead center, was her mother's vintage anniversary ring, the one that had mysteriously gone missing last year. "That ring was supposed to stay in our family forever," Emily whispered. "Mom cried for days." Claire folded her arms. "Your sister sold it and probably pocketed the sympathy." Emily's phone buzzed. A new message from Ethan Reynolds, her ex. "We need to talk. It's about Sophie. Come alone. Riverside Cafe. Tomorrow. 10 a.m. Emily hesitated. Claire read over her shoulder. "That's your ex, right? The one who ghosted you right after Sophie started working at his firm?" Emily nodded. "He never gave a real reason. Just vanished." Jake leaned in. "If he's asking you to come alone, that means he has something to hide. Or something to confess." "And he wants me to bring a USB drive," Emily added. Claire raised an eyebrow. "That's not just a chat. That's evidence." Emily exhaled. "I'll go, but I want both of you nearby. If Sophie shows up—" "She won't surprise us," Claire said, voice low and deadly calm. "This time, we strike first." That night, Emily couldn't sleep. She stared at the ceiling, memories racing like wildfire. Sophie borrowing her college fund for a boutique that never opened. Their parents insisting Emily should be grateful she even had a sister. Sophie crying to their father after every argument, spinning stories while Emily was labeled cold, selfish, dramatic. Emily had spent a lifetime being the responsible one, the good daughter. All it got her was abandoned, penniless, and nearly dead. No more. The next morning, Riverside Cafe buzzed with life, espresso machines hissing, jazz drifting from ceiling speakers. Ethan was already waiting, hunched over a black coffee, his face pale and drawn. "Emily," he said as she slid into the booth across from him. "Thanks for coming." "Get to the point," she said, eyes cold. "You said you had something to show me." He pulled out a small USB. "I've been compiling everything. Emails, voice memos, bank records. Sophie's been running scams long before you ended up in the hospital. Investment fraud, identity theft. She's even blackmailed coworkers." Emily stared. "You knew all this time?" Ethan swallowed. "She blackmailed me too. Threatened to frame me for embezzlement if I didn't break up with you and give her a job." Emily's heart clenched. "She made you leave me?" "I was a coward," Ethan admitted. "But I'm done being silent." A shadow loomed over the table. Emily didn't have to look. She knew that perfume, that entitled posture. Sophie stood there in full designer armor, lips curled in a smile that never touched her eyes. "Well, well," she said, icy. "Having a cozy little reunion?" Emily stood slowly. "You're done, Sophie," Sophie laughed. "Don't be dramatic. You've always been the boring one, remember? I made things interesting." Emily pulled out her phone. "I have evidence, the theft, the fraud, the lies." Sophie leaned in. "You wouldn't dare destroy your own family." Emily met her gaze, steady and cold. "You already did." "If you discovered your sibling betrayed you and your parents still defended them, could you ever forgive them? Why or why not?" Coming next in part 3, the breaking point. The Harper family is forced to face the truth, and a buried secret from Emily's past resurfaces, changing everything. Hit follow to make sure you don't miss it. Because when betrayal runs in the bloodline, the only way out is through fire. The Harper residence in Connecticut had never felt this heavy, not even during funerals, not even during storms. Emily stood in the foyer, arms full of evidence. Printed bank statements, screenshots, security footage stills, and a list of every transaction Sophie had made in her name. Her parents, Richard and Margaret Harper, sat stiffly on the leather sofa like guests in their own home, too proud to believe what was coming, too terrified to look away. "You've always thought I was exaggerating," Emily began, laying documents on the coffee table like playing cards in a game no one wanted to win. "That I was too critical of Sophie, too jealous, too cold." Margaret's lips trembled. "Emily, she's your sister." "She was," Emily interrupted, calm but resolute, "until she stole my identity, drained my life savings, and tried to frame my ex-boyfriend, while I was unconscious in a hospital bed." Richard shook his head, as if denial could bend reality. "She wouldn't do that." "She did," Claire said from the corner, voice sharp and firm. "And we can prove it." Jake stepped forward and placed a tablet on the table, playing back a voice memo. Sophie bragging to a friend about how Emily's coma was the best opportunity ever and how she deserved that money anyway. Margaret went white. Richard closed his eyes. "That's not manipulation anymore," Jake added. "That's premeditated fraud." The doorbell rang. Emily turned, already knowing who it was. Sophie. Still dressed like she walked off a magazine cover, still wearing the smile that had charmed their parents for years. But this time, there was a flicker of fear behind her eyes. She stepped inside like she owned the place. "Wow, intervention vibes," she quipped. "You really called the whole gang, Em?" "No games today," Emily said. "Just truth." Sophie's gaze flickered to the evidence on the table. "You wouldn't really ruin me over some petty cash, would you?" "That petty cash was my future," Emily snapped. "It was my stability, my life." Sophie rolled her eyes. "You were always dramatic, Mom? Dad? You're really going to take her side?" For once, there was silence. Then Richard rose, slow and deliberate. "Did you steal from your sister?" Sophie hesitated, and the hesitation was louder than any answer. Margaret stood holding a printed receipt, her own missing anniversary ring, sold online under Sophie's name. "You lied to me," she whispered. "You cried with me, and you sold it." "Mom, Sophie's voice cracked. No, Richard interrupted. Don't explain. Just stop. Tears welled in Sophie's eyes. Real ones. But they didn't land. They evaporated in the heat of truth. You can either confess and make restitution, Emily said, standing tall, or we go to the police. For the first time, Sophie didn't have a comeback. No clever jab, no manipulative retort, just silence. I need time, to fix this. You've had years, Claire said, cold. You ran out. Richard turned to Emily. What do you want us to do? Emily looked at her parents, worn, broken, finally seeing what had been hidden in plain sight. I don't want revenge, she said. I want accountability. I want her to pay back every penny. I want her to admit what she did. And I want all of you to stop pretending she's some misunderstood angel. She's not. She's a thief. Margaret sobbed. Sophie said nothing. 3 days later, at the New York County Courthouse, Sophie Harper pled guilty to identity theft, grand larceny, wire fraud. She was sentenced to 5 years, suspended to 2 years with mandatory restitution and psychiatric treatment. She didn't look at Emily once. 3 months later, Claire's rooftop in Brooklyn was lit by fairy lights and healing energy. Emily sat with Jake, Claire, and Ethan, her once ex, now friend, surrounded by recovered possessions and new plans. Her accounts had been restored, her parents were finally rebuilding trust, and her sister? Out of their lives, at least for now. She tried to destroy me, Emily said softly, watching the city skyline flicker. But she actually set me free. Claire clinked her glass against Emily's. To freedom. To truth, Ethan nodded. To second chances, Emily raised her glass. To family, the real kind. And just like that, the story that began in silence ended in strength. What did this story make you feel? Would you have made the same choices Emily did, or done something different? If this story moved you, type 100 in the comments. And let us know, where are you watching from? If you believe in truth, healing, and standing up for yourself, share this story with someone who needs to hear it. Thank you for watching. And remember, sometimes the deepest betrayals lead to the strongest awakenings.